to Covering the Fields with your host, Joe Ellison.
Hello, sports fans from the Max Casino in Carson City, Nevada. Welcome to Covering the Field, the weekly program that analyzes all sports, handicaps them, and makes predictions. I'm your host, Joe Ellison, and today we're going to talk about pro football, college football and basketball, hockey, the NBA, teaser card strategies, baseball, and our You Got Hose segment. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Please give us your feedback, tell us your You Got Hose stories, and visit our coveringthefield.com website to check out our many articles and our picks of the week. Find us on Twitter at coveringfield. We want to thank Max Casino for having us today. And just to let you know what's happening at the Max, well, we have the Max Mystery Progressive. There's 2 ways to win. Friday hot seat drawings from 12:30 to 5:30. 12 winners will be called. Saturday drum drawings earn 5,000 points Sunday through Thursday. Redeem entries at guest services. 13 winners will be called from 12 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Now, kicking things off this week, I'd like to introduce our football and college basketball expert, Big Richard Martin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here at the Max. Great to be here. You have the best bartenders. You got Morgan and you got Julio working today, and you got the friendliest staff. So great to be at the Max.
So, Big Rich, what caught your eye in the National Football League last week?
Well, what caught my eye was what caught everybody's eye. The Patriots win again. The Patriots win again. After going 2-4, we thought the Patriots might be mediocre, but no, they run off 6 straight now. And so the Patriots are rolling with Mac Jones at quarterback. So also Baltimore won, but they won ugly. And the Chiefs have 4 straight wins. The Bengals have 2 straight wins, and they seem like they're starting to peak at the right time.
Yeah, New England, in that 6-game winning streak, outscoring their opponents a total of 148 points and a plus 13 turnover differential. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson with 4 interceptions, but they won anyway. What do you think happened the last 52 times a player threw for 4 interceptions? What happened to that team?
They probably were in the losing section of the sports column.
Quite true, my friend. And we have to talk about Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers' broken pinky toe, ran in a touchdown anyway, beating the Rams. No truth to the rumor that ESPN analyst and former head coach Rex Ryan tried to jump through his TV screen when he saw Rodgers' foot. He is the foot fetish guy. Has a picture of his wife's feet on his desk even.
Oh, well, that is kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm. You didn't say anything about Dallas.
Well, you know, I didn't want to say it because that's your Dallas team, but I mean, they have lost 3 out of 4 now, and a Thanksgiving blunder, if you can say. Seems like Dak just can't get it going, and you know, I know they have a lot of injuries and they have COVID going through that locker room, so you know, maybe they'll turn around this Thursday against the Saints.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. They did play 3 games in 12 days, not at full strength. Now we get CeeDee Lamb back and Amari Cooper. No excuses tomorrow.
Well, Amari Cooper is still he passed the COVID protocol, but he said he's still not feeling well, so he's questionable to play on Thursday.
All right. Well, we'll have to check into that. I feel badly for Tennessee. They've played already 82 players. That's 8 more than any other team. They're just ravaged by injuries. Still an 8-4 record, though.
Yeah, they're looking like they're still on their way to the playoffs, and you know that coach is great out there, so he'll get them back and they'll be ready with playoff time.
Miami, the 6th team ever to start 1-7, and now they're 5-7, and they host the Giants and the Jets the next 2 weeks. That could be 6 in a row and 7-7 and fighting for a playoff spot.
Yep. Down there in Miami, seems like they're starting to turn around and playing good football finally. You know, that defense was good last year, Joe, and it seems like they're not finally getting it together.
Yes, 10-6 last year, failed to make the playoffs. Now they're finally getting going again. What kind of injury, quarterback, and COVID news do we have this week?
Well, we'll start with Christian McCaffrey, of course, out again. Christian McCaffrey out again for the season. That's terrible if you have him on your fantasy teams. Alvin Kamara is limited still in practice, so he's very, very questionable for the Thursday night game. Delvin Cook went out with a shoulder injury again, so he's out to 2 to 3 weeks. Kyler Murray and both DeAndre Hopkins are practicing, and according to Coach Kingsbury, that they're looking good. But he said the same thing the last 3 weeks, and he hasn't played in 3 weeks. So we'll keep an eye on that. And also, Darren Waller and Deebo Samuels are week to week.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, that's the saddest story. Only 2 touchdowns in 7 games this year. But he did get paid, so good for him. Not good for, like you said, the fantasy football
Exactly.
players. Yes. Tre'Davious White, Buffalo's cornerback, is done for the season. That could be a big loss. DeAndre Swift is out for the Lions, but they have Jamal Williams. A.J. Brown is out for Tennessee for another 3 weeks. Tannehill, nobody knows who he's throwing to right now.
Right, obviously to the other team last week.
Right. Taysom Hill looks like he's going to start the game tomorrow against the Cowboys. That's going to be interesting. Maybe there's no Dalvin Cook. Also for the Vikings, you might want to pick up Alexander Madison on your fantasy
he's
team.
out at least 3 weeks with that shoulder injury. And he's had that injury ever since high school, I guess, with that shoulder injury.
And Mike McCarthy, coach of the Cowboys, won't be there. Maybe that could be a blessing for Cowboy fans.
Exactly, and also COVID's going through the Buffalo locker room too. 2 starters are out this week with Buffalo.
So Rob, your picks went 3-2 last week. What are your picks for this week?
Well, we're going to go with my guy down here, Morgan, our best bartender around. We're going to start with the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to drop that 3 against Seattle. We're going to take Arizona. Hopefully they get to full strength with their offense finally. They should drop. They're giving up 8 to Chicago. Shouldn't have any problem there with Andy Dalton playing quarterback. We're going to roll with the Dolphins again, just like you said. Dolphins -3 against the G-Men. The quarterback, Jones, should be out again this week. He's questionable. We're going to take the Bills -2.5 against the Pats on Monday night game. And I can't pick against my Broncos, but Kansas City has won 11 in a row against the Broncos, dating back to 2015. And can you tell me, Joe, who the quarterback for Kansas City was the last time that the Broncos beat the mighty Chiefs?
Trent Green.
We'll say Alex Smith, but that's still
That's
Alex.
what I was thinking, yeah, but I mixed those guys up. Yeah, that was a good answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Alex Smith. Should have known that. Oh, well.
We'll talk a little bit about Tampa Bay in that Indianapolis game. Tampa Bay was up by 14? Indianapolis up by 14, and they didn't give the ball to Jonathan Taylor enough. Tampa Bay's defensive Vita Valle played a great game in the middle, stopped them. We've not lost a tooth, and still continue to play, look like a good hockey player, and continue to play a great defense. And so Tampa Bay looks good, and I think Indianapolis bounced back too. But that was a great game.
Yeah, I have both my picks last week. The Chicago and Detroit going under on Thanksgiving. Green Bay beating the Rams outright last Sunday. I hope to keep that going. My first pick, I also love Arizona, -8 at Chicago. Whether Arizona quarterback Kyler Murray or wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins play or not, doesn't seem to matter. Cardinals have won and covered all 6 of their road games this season, with the smallest margin of victory being 10 points. They should also be refreshed coming off their bye last week. The spread is only 8. According to my numbers, Chicago 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6, 0-2-1 as a home underdog. As long as Andy Dalton is quarterback, the Bears are a good team to bet against.
I'd have to agree with you on that, Joe.
My other pick I like is Denver and Kansas City to go under 47 points. Kansas City's current run, surprisingly, has been due to its defense. 5 of the last 6 Chiefs games have gone under. 4 out of 6 of their home games have gone under, including their last 3. Denver has played 5 consecutive under games, and 4 out of 5 of their road games have gone under. Only 1 Bronco game has scored more than 47 points total all season, and now their offensive line is banged up. So, picks are Arizona and Denver under.
Okay.
Moving on to the college ranks. What's the big news this week?
Well, what's the name of your coach of Oklahoma?
Nobody right now.
Exactly. Lincoln Riley is gone. He has deserted the Oklahoma Sooners for the better, lovelier weather out there in Southern California. Takes the USC job, and he took Malachi Nelson, the 5-star quarterback recruit, with him. 3 other people decommitted from Oklahoma, as soon as they heard about the coach moving, they lost their 5-star wide receiver Brandon Enos from Florida, and 4-star running back Tayon Webb, and linebacker Kobe McKenzie also decommitted as soon as they lost their coach.
Didn't seem like Riley wanted any part of the SEC in the future. He wants to be a big fish in a small pond out there in the old Pac-12. You should be able to dominate there. He'd be like the medium fish in the huge pond going up against Nick Saban.
Right.
And it's going to be a lot tougher to recruit.
Well, Malachi Nelson is the number 3 recruit coming out of the high school. So he's the second quarterback and the number 3. He's out of Los Alamitos out there in California. So a lot of great quarterbacks have been coming out of Southern California, and I think he's going to fall right in that same trend.
Well, Lincoln Riley recruits well in California, and unfortunately he's going to USC, a team I hate. So I'm going to not root for him anymore, unfortunately. But I will throw out one name, Bob Stoops. Possibly, this is the first I've heard of it. Just came from me, though.
Okay, so you don't have a source, right, Joe?
I'm the source.
Oh, you're the source.
Bob Stoops coming back to Oklahoma. He won the national championship. Lincoln Riley did not. And he did coach in the XFL a couple of years ago, so he's still got that itch to coach a little bit.
Well, that would be a great replacement for sure. And also we have to talk about Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame. Wow, to go to LSU? Can you believe that?
No, seeing as though they still have a chance for a national championship, and he already jumps off ship.
Yeah, he had a 7 o'clock meeting saying, I'm out of here, guys, with this team Monday morning, and now they don't have a coach, and they have a chance to go to the national championship Final Four.
Right. Georgia, obviously number 1, smashed Georgia Tech again. Michigan, Damani Ranch quarterback Cade McNamara won the game of the week against Ohio State. They're number 2 after losing 8 straight and 15 of 16 to Ohio State. Finally got them.
Great win, wasn't it, for Michigan? Yeah, I mean,
incredible.
They finally got it after, what was it, 8 straight is what you said?
Yeah.
And 5 straight for Harbaugh. Finally got over that, so I guess they were right giving him an 8-year extension.
Yeah. Well, you know, the weather had a lot to do with it, I thought. The snow, 25-degree weather, over 80% of the people, 111,000 people packed into the big house, 80% rooting for Michigan.
And no positive COVID tests.
Well, we don't know that.
We know of.
No. The weather, you definitely needed to run the ball. Michigan ran for 297 yards on Ohio State. Definitely deserved to win. Alabama, needing 4 overtimes to beat Auburn. That running back that went out of bounds, stopped the clock.
Yeah, Tank went out of bounds. Should have just slid, and the next thing you know, he got pushed out of bounds. And he was looking. You're trained as a running back to get the first down, and that's what he was trying to do. He gets the first down, the game's over. So, it's a bad break, but I mean, your defense got to stand up. You can't let Bryce Young go 99 yards on you with no timeouts. I mean, come on.
Well, they did it all game. They only gave up like 10 points, and they finally gave way. But yeah, that was horrible. That should have never happened. Alabama showed weakness there, and the Auburn, their quarterback was basically on one leg that entire game. It looked like he's not even the regular quarterback.
Yeah, he's the backup quarterback in one leg, and he almost got it done. Mm-hmm. That was a great game for Auburn, I thought.
So Cincinnati won easily. What we hope that doesn't happen is Cincinnati and Oklahoma State both lose, because then God knows who the 4th team is going to be.
Well, we know Notre Dame will be one of them because they're sitting at number 6, and they don't get to play a championship game.
Are they going to be invited, seeing as though their coach isn't even there anymore?
Yeah. So
Tough call.
We want to see. That's what college football's been all year.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens this week in the championship games.
Well, I want to see Cincinnati win. That'd be an awesome story. Sadly, Texas San Antonio lost at North Texas, the Roadrunners' first loss of the season.
That was sad. I know we've been talking about them all year long, and North Texas, of all people, takes them off the undefeated list.
Mm-hmm. So who do you like this week, championship weekend?
Well, let's start with Conference USA. As you know, Georgia, number 1, Michigan 2, Alabama hanging in there at 3, Cincinnati 4, Oklahoma State 5, Notre Dame 6, according to the college football rankings. So let's start with Conference USA. West Kentucky's given up 2.5 at University of Texas San Antonio. I've been taking University of Texas San Antonio all year long. I'm going to stay with them. What do you think?
I'm not playing that game. after that loss, now I really don't know what to think about Texas San Antonio. But they are at home.
They are at home.
Yes, the Alamo Dome. So that gives them a chance, a real good chance.
Well, the Hilltoppers will come to play. Obviously, Vegas thinks so too. They're giving up 2.5. So we'll see what happens. McCorf's got a great wear in the game. Hopefully they bounce back. Pac-12, I'll let you go first there, Joe.
I've only got 2 games. Maybe I should just tell you one of my games right now.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to bet against Cincinnati. I'm going to take Houston plus the 10.5. They're 11-1, 8-0 in conference. They've lost the first game to Texas Tech, and then they've won 11 straight now.
And 10.5 points, can you believe that?
It seems like a lot, but Cincinnati is getting the respect of possibly being a national champion and being at home.
Well, that's what Vegas is thinking too. You got to run the points up to lock up that last spot. So I think that's what they're thinking, but I'm with you. I'm taking the Cougars also. I think 10.5 is way too many points.
Okay. You got another one?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go with San Diego State over Utah State for the Mountain West. I mean, they've been dominant all year. Utah State lost to BYU and to Boise State. I think San Diego State's the elite team in the Mountain West.
All right.
What about the Sun Belt Championship? We have Louisiana playing Appalachia State. Now, Louisiana beat them earlier, but the odds are that 3-point favorite for Appalachia State. So I don't understand that. I'm taking the Raging Cajuns again. Lewis has only given up, their quarterback's only given up 4 interceptions. Appalachia State's quarterback Bryce has given up 10 interceptions. I'm going to go with the strong hand of the quarterback, and I'm going to take Louisiana. What about the ACC? You have Pitt giving up 3 over Wake Forest. I like Pitt. They beat them earlier. I think they do it again. Wake Forest gives up a lot of points, and the under-over is 72.
Wake Forest didn't go over last week. They only gave up 10 points. I was in a state of shock, but they've been averaging giving up like 30 points a game. So that worries me a little bit.
Okay, let's about the SEC Championship. I know you've got this one picked. I know you got Georgia, and I'm taking Georgia also against Alabama.
Yeah, I like Georgia minus the 6.5 and the other under 50 points against Alabama. I've been waiting for this game.
Right.
It's like, Alabama. You have to like genuflect when you say Alabama. Oh, Alabama. Well, if they can't score on Auburn, what makes anyone think they'll score on Georgia, the best defense in the country?
Well, they couldn't get past the front 4 of Auburn. They're not going to get past the front 4 of Georgia. They're way better defense.
I can't wait to watch Alabama get beat up.
So set your alarm. And then you also have Oklahoma State giving up 5.5 to Baylor. Baylor's quarterback Gary Bonhams has a pulled hamstring, so he's questionable. I don't know if he'll be able to get it done because he's a running quarterback. I'm taking Oklahoma State and dropping the 5.5.
Well, that'd be good for the Big 12, what's left of it, because one loss by Alabama or Cincinnati, and I'm thinking Alabama's going to lose. It appears Oklahoma State's going to get in.
Right. They have a straight path for it, so see what happens. And I'll let you pick the Big Ten game. Michigan's dropping 10.5 to Iowa. Who knows what's going to happen in this game?
This could be a big letdown for Michigan after the Ohio State game, but Iowa, they can't really score a whole lot. I'm sure the over-under is pretty low.
It's 43.5.
That's pretty low.
And Iowa's only has 2 top 10 wins, top 25 wins this whole year. So.
After all that trouble Michigan went through to get to this point, I can't imagine them now winning the game, so I'm going to take them and lay the 10.5.
I like it. That hook might get you. That hook at 10.5 might get you, but I like it too.
I'm not loving that pick, but I'm sure I'm going to try it. So I guess that's it for football.
Right.
Switching quickly to college basketball. Did anything interesting happen last week?
Well, yeah. Number 1, Gonzaga loses, and then last night Duke loses at Ohio State. So Duke beat Gonzaga last Friday. Duke comes back and loses to Ohio State. At Ohio State at the Nut House, unbelievable game. And then Purdue is now going to move up to the number 1, which we talked about how good they were with Jaden Irvin, their number 1 scorer. He dropped 18 as they smashed Florida State 96 to 60 something, beat them by 30 points. So the Big Ten is playing the ACC this week, the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Big Ten won 4 out of 5 last night. We'll see what they do tonight, but there's a lot of close games that could have went either way.
One more note, Dayton beat number 4 Kansas. Also, that was a pretty big upset last week. So maybe they're not as good as people thought Kansas was going to be. How's Arkansas doing? Nevada's ex-coach, Eric Musselman,
Well, they're still undefeated, I believe, right?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, well, they were undefeated and they're playing, I think, tonight.
All right. Okay, thank you, Rich. And we'll hear from you again later, unless you got some picks coming up on college basketball.
Well, college basketball, we can't pick because the spreads aren't out. We'll put those on the site, the picks that we do.
Put them on the website.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. And we'll hear from you again later on the You Got Hosed segment.
Now, you got it. Thanks a lot, Joe. Great to be here at the Max. Go and pour me a cold one there, Morgan.
Next up, we're going to talk about some hockey with huge hockey fan, Gator Gates. How goes it today, Gator?
Oh, I'm great, Joe. I'm happy to be at the Max here. Excited.
What happened in the National Hockey League last week?
Well, we had a few different stories. Brad Marchand, he got a Boston Bruin player, was suspended 3 games for slew footing. He will be back in action December 8th when they play at Vancouver. You know what slew footing is, Joe?
Well, I know it's pretty dangerous because you can get suspended for it, but I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, you can really get hurt, Joe. It's in rule number 52, and it's the act of the player using his leg or foot to knock an opponent's feet from underneath him, or if the player pushes an opponent's upper body forward with an arm or elbow, and at the same time uses their foot as a kicking motion to knocks their leg or kicks their feet out from underneath them, but causing the player to fall violently to the ice.
Like land on the back of his head, you mean?
Or anything like that.
Crack his head open. Okay.
Sure, you can look at your foot too.
Okay. Well, that's too bad. Marchand is kind of a instigator kind of player, always playing on the edge. And,
well, he is the Boston's #1 goal scorer.
Yeah, he does everything for him.
Yes, he does. Big loss, big loss.
So what else went on?
Okay, well, Evander Kane, San Jose Sharks placed forward Evander Kane on waivers. Now, they'd planned on sending him down to the AHL if he is not claimed, and they actually did that yesterday. He did show at practice. And Evander's 21-game suspension expires after the Sharks play the Blackhawks on Sunday night. He was suspended for submitting a fake vaccination card, and he is now fully vaccinated, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah, well, it's time to go by the rules, I guess.
Well, I guess he needs that money.
Yeah, this could be his last chance. He's also been, in the past, been accused of domestic abuse by his wife, estranged wife. He also was accused of betting on NHL games. None of that was proven. What was proven, he was sued by a Las Vegas casino for $500,000. He lost $1.5 million gambling. So he's a real beauty, this Evander Kane guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So this is his last shot.
I could just say I wouldn't claim him.
I wouldn't claim him either. He seems like a problem. So.
Well, I got 2 other stories,
all right,
Joe.
all right.
How about the New York Islanders? Quick note is they had 2 games suspended. The Rangers on Saturday and the Flyers last night. They have 8 players on COVID-19 protocol. The other tidbit that I got is Brandon Lemieux was suspended 5 games for biting Brandon Tkachuk of Ottawa Saturday in a hockey fight.
He bit him.
He bit him.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Probably shouldn't get 5. Should probably get more than that.
You should get more than 5. So the Penguins, did they get taken over?
Oh yeah, Joe. Fenway Sports Group. Fenway Sports Group has reached an agreement with the Pittsburgh Penguins that would give the sports entity control interest in the NHL franchise. Now, the Penguins announced Monday the 2 sides have come to a deal, but it still needs to be approved by the NHL Board of Governors, and they should have a decision by the end of this year. Now, the Penguins were valued last month at $845 million. And the Penguins have had 5 Stanley Cups in their franchise history, Joe.
Yeah. This is the same group that owns Liverpool, the soccer team out in England. And I'm very familiar with the Penguins because Mario Lemieux and me were born on the exact same day. I won't say how old I am or anything and divulge that, but and Patrick Roy also, born on the exact same day.
That is funny.
Yes, a little bit of trivia. So, which teams are hot that we should be betting on right now?
Okay, well, the hot teams right now in the East are Toronto. They are 14-2 in the last 16 games. The Rangers are 7-1 in the last 8, and Washington, they are 9-2 in their last 11. Now, in the West, all three of these teams have only gotten one loss. That would be Colorado at 7-1, Dallas as well is at 7-1, and Seattle, Joe, they hosed me twice last week. They are at 4-1 in their last 5.
Seattle, a surprise team, the expansion team, playing well. Glad to hear Dallas is playing well.
Me too. I'm glad those teams are playing well. Those markets need to play well.
Absolutely. So which teams are not playing well right now?
Well, the teams that made my not-so-hot list is in the East, we have the Islanders at 0-8, but they haven't played for a little while, so that's still unfair. Probably the best thing that's happened to them. The Buffalo, they're at 1-6, a little disappointing. And Ottawa, they're at 2-14 record. Another thing that was disappointing, Joe, I just put this in here, Carolina lost last night, and they are 1-4 in their last 5.
All right. So, coming up this week, do you have some predictions?
Okay, well, I'm going to run through these quick. I got Thursday, I have Carolina over Ottawa, Minnesota over New Jersey, and Calgary over the Kings. Now, Joe, I'm still not doing very good on Saturday, so I'm just going to take the bull by the horn.
Saturday?
Well, no, I'm going to take
okay.
3 games.
All right.
I'm going to try to get 2 out of 3.
All right.
So let's go with Washington over Blue Jackets, Carolina over Carolina is playing the Buffalo, and Pittsburgh to beat Vancouver. Now, Sunday, I have Toronto over the Winnipeg and Edmonton to win at home against the Kings. Monday, I like Dallas. They're going to be at home against Arizona. And last, I have Toronto over the Blue Jackets on Tuesday. Those are my 10 picks for this week, Joe.
All right, man. I'll have to listen to the show and write those down again, or get them from you later.
Okay, sounds good. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's quite all right. So how have the Nevada sportsbooks been doing lately?
Well, Joe, this is a big story, I think. In October, Nevada Sportsbooks hit a record $1.1 billion in overall bets for the month of October. The previous record of $786 million was set in September. The $1.1 billion is a 66.8% increase over October 2020 and a 102% increase over October 2019. Nevada joins New Jersey as the only sportsbook entities to reach the $1 billion mark, and New Jersey hit the mark both September and October, Joe. Now, the Nevada Gaming Control said that the sportsbooks won a net of $48.3 million, and that does include $29.8 million bet on college football and pro football. Now, the phone account wagering accounted for 64% of the total bets made in that month.
All right.
Well, Joe, the bettors had a more successful typical month of October, and that fueled the record amount that was made in November.
Well, obviously, COVID had a lot to do with people not making a lot of bets, just kind of sitting home. So 2019 and 20, now we're up in 21. Glad to see people are getting to the book. And thank you, Gator.
Oh, I appreciate it, Joe. Thank you so much.
We'll have you on later on the You Got Hosed portion of the show. Next, we have our NBA analyst, Marc the Shark Sabella. How are you feeling today, Marc?
Doing great, Joe. It's great to be here at Max's in beautiful Carson City.
It is beautiful. So let's get right into it. Which teams are winning and hot against the point spread in the NBA in recent games?
The hottest teams, the top 3, there was no change from last week. The Suns are the hottest team. They have now won 17 in a row after the win over Golden State last night. I have a trivia question for you, Joe, related to that.
Uh-oh.
For the Suns to tie the NBA record for wins in the NBA, do you know what year and what team did it and how many wins?
Well, I happen to be a Laker fan, so I do know it was the Lakers, and I know it was that Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor team, the 71, 72. They actually won a championship that year. I'm going to guess 35?
33.
33. Oh,
so the Suns would have to double their 17 in a row just to show you how tough it is to actually break the NBA record. So
it's not going to happen.
Probably not. Anyways, going forward, number 4 is Milwaukee. They have been making some pretty good strides in the last week. When they have their three superstars with Giannis, Middleton, and Drew playing,
Drew
Holiday playing, they are undefeated this year at 10-0. So that's kind of something to look at from a betting standpoint also. Rounding out the last three teams, number 5 is Miami right now. Number 6 is Utah. And number 7 is Chicago. The Bulls are playing quite well this year.
Chicago's playing surprisingly well. I think we had all of those other teams before the season started to play really well. I think we pretty much predict them, all those teams, to win their division.
Exactly. And Chicago actually is 14-8 straight up, and they're 14-8 against the spread. So they are definitely been covering lately.
All right. So which teams are losing and doing poorly betting-wise?
Surprisingly, the Denver Nuggets have gotten really cold. They were number 8 in the power rankings last week, and they've dropped all the way down to number 16. They were 1-2 in the last week, and primarily it's injuries that are hurting the Denver Nuggets right now. But they are at 500 right now, 10-10, and surprisingly, just not finishing games out very well right now. So they would probably be the coldest of like your star teams right now. The Lakers continue to flounder a little bit, sadly. Yeah. But they are just above 500 now, and they are starting to get some players back. And then Houston is now 4-16. They finally won a game to break their 15-game losing streak last week, and it was the day before Thanksgiving. But they don't look like much of a team going forward.
Well, looking ahead, obviously we don't know exactly what the point spreads are yet, but what do you think are some good picks for next week?
Starting tomorrow, I was looking at the Chicago Bulls New York Knicks game. The Knicks will probably be favored in that 6-point range. They are 5-6 at home, 6-4 against the spread in the last 10. Chicago is 3-3 straight up away, but the Bulls actually beat the Knicks in their last matchup in New York just back on November 21st. They beat them 109-103. So I'm going to take a little bit of a flyer here and take Chicago with the points tomorrow.
All right. And moving on.
Moving on, you got a rematch of the incredible NBA game last night. Phoenix goes into Golden State, and my guess is Golden State will be favored by about 4. I'm thinking with the Bay Area crowd, I have a feeling there's going to be a revenge game. I have a feeling Golden State's going to return the favor to Phoenix and probably end their winning streak at 17, 18 games at that point in time.
I happen to agree with you on that. I like Golden State at home in the revenge game so soon afterwards. And speaking of so soon afterwards, we had that big fight, Detroit and LA a couple of weeks ago, and then they played again in LA. Did anything happen? Anything violent or?
No, I think it was kind of what we talked about the previous week. It was pretty much, they probably were talked to by league officials, coaches, everything. LeBron didn't get mixed up in it, although he's injured again, or he's under COVID protocol right now. Okay. So that is, there really wasn't anything in the game. So.
Well, even at the original fight, LeBron tried to stop it from happening after he smacked Isaiah Stewart right in the eye.
Yes.
And Isaiah Stewart, I guess, did not try any retaliation.
Right.
Last week. Okay. Well, that would have been certainly more exciting.
It would.
It didn't happen. Okay, moving on the picks.
Yeah, I have a game on Saturday. There's 3 really good games on Saturday, December 4th. Denver at the Knicks. The Knicks will probably be favored by 6. Chicago at Brooklyn, the number 3 team, which will probably be also a -6. and Miami at Milwaukee. And Milwaukee's one of the hottest teams right now. -7 is what I'm guessing for Milwaukee, and I think Milwaukee will cover the spread. I would take Denver in their game and on the road as a little bit of a turnaround against the Knicks, and then Brooklyn, I would give the 6 points.
All right. So, is that it for the picks for this week?
I got one last one, Joe.
Okay.
Sunday on the 5th, Utah will probably be favored by 3.5 or so at Cleveland. Now, Cleveland is not really one of the hot teams right now, but they do have an incredible 14-7 against the spread, and they're 7-4 against the spread at home, and they've won 4 in a row now. So I'm actually going to take Cleveland with the points. If you can get as many points on that game, I would take Cleveland.
All right. So we're into the season for over a month now. How have the odds changed for teams gunning for the championship?
It's interesting. The Nets are still number 1, and they were co-favorites with the Lakers at the opening, in the beginning of the season. They are still number 1 after this many weeks into the season. The Warriors are now number 2, and you can get 6-1 on them in certain places. I know William Hill was giving 5-1 recently, but you can get 6-1 on them in certain betting sites. The Lakers, surprisingly, as bad as they've played, they're number 3 still. Yeah. And it's kind of shocking. It's a surprise. But you can get anywhere between 4-1 or 10-1
Oh, wow.
On them, depending on which site. Wow. Rounding it out, it's the Jazz have moved up to number 5. You can get 11-1 on them. I'm sorry, the Bucks are number 4. And you can get 8-1 on them. The Jazz are number 5. You can get 11-1 on them. And the Suns, as hot as they've been, I guess the bettors aren't really thinking that they are going to be there in the end. Maybe it's CP3's age.
Yeah.
Something like that might be a factor. They're saying that they're looking at number 6 in the odds, and it's 12-1.
12-1 on the Suns.
You can get on them.
That's not bad. I got the Warriors at 5-1. They're down to 4-1. The Lakers, I got them at 4-1. But yeah, they're going to struggle for a little while. But they're not going to change the Lakers' odds because they're just figuring as long as they get into the tournament at the end.
That's right.
That they'll be healthy and they'll be a factor even if they're a number 8 seed or whatever.
That's right. And there's probably still money coming in on them at this point, anyways.
Yes, I believe so. Well, thank you, Marc.
Thank you, Joe.
And we'll hear from you again next week.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Our final guest is our baseball aficionado, Ronnie Mckinnon. How's it going today, Ronnie?
Joe, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Happy to be here at the Max. Before we get to the latest Major League Baseball news, though, a few weeks ago we talked about the parlay cards and board bets, and today I'd like to talk a little about the football teaser cards. Have you bet teaser cards before?
Actually, I might have bet one quite a long time ago. I used to do just regular parlay cards, but teasers are pretty interesting. Obviously, you can't win a lot because of how you bet, but it actually accounts for about 15% of the sportsbook handles. And you can do like 3 main teaser cards, like a 6, 6.5, or 7 points.
That's off the board, right? 6.
That's off the board, right.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like if the Cowboys were a -8, you could get them at a -2
Right.
on a teaser card. And you have to bet at least like 2. You can't just bet one game. You have to bet more than one game.
Right.
And so, you know, they can be fun and interesting. If you win one, I mean, if you lose one, you could get your money back if you win the other one. It depends on the casino and their rules. So.
Yep. Well, what's good about teasers, obviously, you get extra points on your bet. It's possible both sides of any proposition is a winner. What's bad, like you were saying, the payoff scale. It's much smaller,
Right.
and it takes too many winners to win too little money. But
True.
I do have some strategies for the teaser card. I can't advise betting teasers on college football. Just why not? For the same reasons, You don't see college games on the pleaser card. College final scores could land way off from the original point spread. Extra 6 or 7 points probably often isn't enough. Pro games, however, tend to finish closer to the spread and are easier to win on the teaser on either team's side. I also advise not betting any over-under totals on teasers. An extra 4 to 6 points to work with on a pro football score is just a 1-score difference. Original total is about the same and pays much better if you win. I suggest not betting both sides of a teaser proposition in the same game. It's impossible to like both sides of a game spread, so why would anybody try to land in the middle of the low-paying teaser cards?
Right.
Don't fall into that trap. Just pick the side you like.
There you go.
Better. Certain spread numbers are not worth betting. I never minus more than 3 on a teaser because the favorite is just concerned about winning the game. A 1.5 or a 2.5 minus, that's okay because a field goal win is enough. Very few games end up with the favorite winning by less than 3, although it does happen. But if your original spread pick is already an underdog, it's a perfect bet for a teaser. Tack on some more points to your original pick and hope the team doesn't get blown out. Keep in mind another thing, anytime you cross a minus to a plus on the teaser, that you're also crossing the number 0. Games don't end in ties anymore, so you're cheating yourself a point. I mean, I guess they do end in ties. We had 1 this year.
Yep.
Okay. Every time you cross 0, you're cheating yourself a point. A 6-point teaser essentially becomes a 5-point teaser, so on and so forth. A plus 2.5 point bet on a teaser is a big no-no in my book. Not only does it cross 0, but plus 2.5 is virtually the same as minus 2.5. If you can get minus 2.5 or 3 off the board or parlay card, you have almost the same chances as a handicapper with a plus 2.5, and if you win, it pays much better. I was just looking at a couple of these cards. I'm going to count how many 2.5s there are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 2.5s on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 2.5s on this one. They just love to give you the plus 2.5 so you can lose by 3 and lose your bet.
Right. And those are from 2 different books.
2 different places. Yeah. So, and finally, like you said, the advantages of betting off the board, 6, 6.5, 7-point teasers are available. You have a choice, not just the card. You only have one choice. You only need 2 teams to make a wager off the board. Betting teasers off the card, you can bet more than 8. So that could be an advantage. But be more concerned about finding the winning spread numbers than trying to win a certain amount of cash. Now, on to the baseball news, Ronnie.
Yay. Oh.
Yay. Who was on the move last week?
Well, Joe, there's a lot of trades going on in the last couple days. And your Oakland A's actually got Starling Marte.
He's
Marc
gone, right?
Canna, yeah, and
We finally got a good player.
They both went to the Mets.
Yeah.
The Mets also got Eduardo Escobar from Milwaukee. So that the Mets are spending some money. And they also got Max Scherzer.
Yeah,
from
that's the one I was waiting for.
That's the big one. 3 years, $130 million. So that's $43.3 million a year. That's the biggest annual salary in history. So that was big. The Dodgers also lost Corey Seager to Texas. Texas is picking up some other players also. So there's a lot of movement, and there's still more to come. Robbie Ray, who won the Cy Young for the American League, went to Seattle.
That's good.
So,
good for Seattle.
Detroit actually got Javier Baez from the Mets. So he wasn't there in New York too long. So, yeah, there's been some, and there's still more to come. Brian Snitker, the manager for the Braves, who won the World Series, actually got his contract extended to 2024. So, and then there's another guy, one of your guys, Matt Olson from Oakland, actually At Atlanta is like kind of looking at him a little just in case they lose Freddie Freeman, which is possible. There's some teams going after him, as is the Dodgers. So, so there's a lot going on, and the collective bargaining agreement actually ends tonight at 9 o'clock our time.
So we'll find out more about that.
Correct.
Now, this Max Scherzer deal, you're saying $43 million a year. He's 37 years old.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't that seem a little odd? Doesn't he seem a little old?
Yeah, and it's a lot of money. A 3-year contract. You know, he's always stayed pretty healthy. But yeah, it's a big contract, and but I hated losing him as a Dodger fan. So.
Well, absolutely. So you're going to be scrambling for another pitcher, I guess?
Exactly, yeah. We need to do something about that, because actually we still have Bauer on our payroll and on our team, but he's still not eligible to play, and I don't know what'll happen.
Well, Scherzer can opt out of that contract after the 23 season and get a new one if he wants. So he could go for $50 million a year.
It's pretty nuts.
If he's pitching well.
He's still a quality pitcher. I would have liked to have kept him, but.
Okay. Well, Texas, they got Seager and Marcus Semien, another one of my former A's players. So they got their brand new. They got their brand new middle infield.
Right, and he actually came from Toronto. He used to be an A player, though. But yeah, good player. You know, all these guys besides Scherzer, we have how many years they got and how much money, but we don't have to get into all that. But there's a bunch of stuff. The Giant fans, Kevin Gausman, he's actually going to Toronto. Who pitched well for the Giants this year.
And they kept Brandon Belt, so the fans will be yelling, "Let's go, Brandon!" in San Francisco.
That's right. Yeah, they'll still have him, and so there's some other ones, and there's going to be a bunch more here, and then we'll see what happens with the bargaining agreement. Even if they don't agree on something, it's not like cast in concrete. They can still figure it out here this month or even next month. You know.
Last subject, have there been any changes of odds for the World Series since these player changes?
Well, I've looked at some in Vegas. They haven't fully changed the odds yet for those trades. The Dodgers actually are still favored at a plus 600, and then the other teams, Houston, Atlanta, the Yankees, even the Mets now have a little bit better odds because of who they picked up. So that has changed a little bit. So.
Okay, well, we'll have to check into those again next week after more player changes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ronnie, and we'll have you on again on next week's show.
All right, Joe, thanks for having me, and thanks to the Max.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, so that's time for the moments we've all been waiting for, the stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners, but in the end something went horribly wrong and they ended up being losers. It's a segment we affectionately call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
So, Big Rich, what's your You Got Hosed story this week?
Well, it wasn't me. It was my cousin Pistol Pete. He had Washington on the Monday night game, halftime, Washington minus a half a point. So it comes down to the end. Washington was minus a half. They go up, score a touchdown. They get up 9-7, and they go to kick the extra point. Bam, block it.
Yeah.
Seattle picks it up, runs the other way. Now it's 9-9. His half a point now loses instead of if he kicks the extra point, it's an automatic win. So Pistol Pete, you got hosed.
He could have just missed that extra point and they would have won.
Exactly.
But it was blocked and returned for a two-point
conversion
to make it 9-9. Yeah, he definitely got hosed.
Definitely got hosed on that one.
So Gator, do you have a You Got Hosed story this week?
Yeah, my You Got Hosed story is on Saturday. Kazakhstan was hosting Syria in the first leg of the Asian qualifiers for the Basketball's World Cup in 2023.
You always have these obscure You Got Hosed stories, but go ahead.
Well, it will be hosted by Japan and Philippines and Indonesia. But before the game, Kazakhstan welcomed the Syrians with the Iranian national anthem instead of the Syrian national anthem. The Syrian players looked very perplexed during the song, but they still clapped after it got done. Now, after a huddle, The Syrians came back out on the court and sang their own national anthem while the Tech national team was cheering them on. Now, Kazakhstan still won 84-74. So for this week, Joe, I'd have to say Syria got hosed. Would you like that America go up to some other country and they start playing Canada's national anthem?
No, of course not. I'm sure that would never happen, though.
I don't think so either, but it seems like those places have a lot of problems. Anyways, Joe, did you get hosed this week?
Yeah, I feel I got hosed. Last Sunday, I took Indianapolis +3 at home against Tampa Bay, which hadn't covered a road game in 5 tries this year. It's looking good. Colts up 24-14, 6 minutes into the second half. You got Jonathan Taylor, leads the league in rushing and rushing touchdowns. He just scored 5 TDs the previous week at Buffalo. But what do the Colts decide to do? They stupidly throw the ball 26 consecutive times and commit 4 turnovers in the second half. Still with 30 seconds left, the score's tied 31. Buccaneers ball at the Colts 28. Surely there's time only for a field goal. I can get a push, but no. Leonard Fournette rushes for a 28-yard touchdown with 20 seconds left for a 38-31 Buccaneers victory. I have no idea what the Colts were thinking in the second half, but I was definitely thinking, I got hosed.
I think the coaches hosed you, Joe. The coaches did.
Yeah, I think so.
You got hosed.
So that's all for this week's show. I'd like to, again, thank the Max Casino, my guests, Big Richard Martin, Ronnie McKinnon, Marc the Shark Sabella, and Gator Gates, our producer, our engineer, our editor, our junior IT tech, Caden Martin, and everyone for listening. We'd like you to visit our Covering the Field website to check out our many articles and our picks of the week. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Give us your feedback, your You Got Hosed moments, and any other comments you'd like to give us, and find us on Twitter at Covering Field. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show, and you'll hear us again next week on another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field, a CM World Services and the Sage production.